And welcome back to Metropol Sports Center. My name is Nation Oano. Time for us to continue the conversation on the Euro 2021 and some of the implications of the move by Cristiano Ronaldo to remove a bottle of soft drink on the table. We're going to be picking up that conversation with my guest, that is Dexter Otieno. But just before we talk to Dexter, who's in the studio with me today, I just wanted us to focus on a bit of numbers with relation to the sport that is sumo wrestling. On our Money Ref segment today, we are going to be talking about the sumo wrestling game that is common in Japan, although there have been winners of the competition that are not originally from Japan. Now, the following is just the amount of money the prize money that the participants of the game take home. Ideally, the game has been arranged in leagues. Now, the top tier league is called the top tier league up to the bottom tier league. Now, the following is how much the participants get. We have the Yokozuna category, that is $24,250 US. The Ozeki category, we have $20,000 and $20,200 US. In the Kemisabi, it gets $14,600 US, and in the Sekiwaki category, the person gets $14,600, and then finally in the Maigashira, the person gets $11,250. Now, those are just some of the numbers that you needed to understand about the sport that is sumo wrestling. Now, shifting gears from the Money Ref segment of the show, I'm joined in studio by Dexter Otieno. Dexter is the chairman of Young United Football Clubs. He's a sports administrator, and we're going to be making sense of some of the topical issues that happened in the Euro 2020 competition. Dexter, nice having you on the show once again.
It's always a pleasure, Nation, and I'm happy to be here. And continue the conversation about football and Euros in particular.
Yeah, just before we get deeper into the whole conversation, I just wanted to get your reflections so far on the competitions. Which team have impressed you and which ones have disappointed you so far?
Personally, I think Italy has been really strong, and they really look like they came into the tournament to win. Having a look at Portugal, fantastic team. That's the team that I'm rooting for. You can take a look at how France is doing as well. I think that they are in it as well. And I think those are some of the teams that I'm really looking at. Germany aren't playing so badly, but my disappointment basically, I think, was the match yesterday. I think Denmark really had a chance, and despite everything that has been ongoing, I think they should have gained something from yesterday's match. Yes.
Okay. The team that has been tipped off to be the favorites of the tournaments are France. Do you think they have the stamina to go all the way to the finals of the competition?
I think what is really going to push France is the fact that they lost the final last time against Portugal. So I think they're on a revenge mission, which is something that is going to stir them. And you can see by the way they are playing to win, which is the basis of teams that are very good in tournament. And I think that is going to be the fire that is going to burn all the way, pretty much. Maybe up to the final again, hopefully.
Okay. People were talking about Ronaldo shying away from supporting, removing certain beverages on top of his table. What did you make of that whole issue? We already spoken about the impact and the repercussions of that move that has since been followed up by a similar move by Paul Pogba. What do you think that means for brands that are supporting the Euro 2020 competition?
I think basically from the brand point of view, it is a very complicated scenario actually, because at one point players are happy to play at the Euros, And they need those competitions for obvious reasons. Some want to make moves and all that, and some are breaking records like the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo. And on the other hand, for those tournaments to be able to be played, there needs to be sponsors, which are not easy to come. And you can see that it is about player activism, athlete activism in the world right now. And these athletes are really trying now to come out and say that our values are important, what we believe in is important, and they are clashing with what the sponsors want. So it is a very delicate scenario on the business side of everything, where we just need now to find a way just to be able to balance all this stuff that is going on right now, because you cannot say that the players are acting recklessly, because at the end of the day, this is what they feel, and they are the center of all this sport. And on the other side, the money is important in sport as well. So however delicate it is, however, we're going to continue seeing a lot of this moving forward, because this is Cristiano Ronaldo. This is somebody with 300 million followers on Instagram. And basically what he's trying to say is that despite everything, I've reached at a point where I have my own following and I can dictate terms. So the world needs now to be abreast with all this, that players and brands now, which are personal brands, are now starting to fight against these big corporations. And this is going to be the future.
Okay. Yeah. So what do you think this means for the advertisers of the Euro 2020 competition thus far?
I think what it means to them is it's bad for business. That is the first thing that everybody needs to understand. Whatever it is, like Coca-Cola has lost, or whatever the amount that they've lost.
Approximately, it's estimated they've lost approximately $4 billion US.
That's big in business.
Yeah.
That's a deep in business, and that is not what you want, especially at this moment where we are trying to recover. Everybody's trying to recover from COVID. And what it means to all the other brands that are going to advertise is that moving forward is that they're going to really incorporate values in whatever they do in the marketing realms. And it's just another world for them. It's another world that is being brought on the table right now. And it's a consideration that needs to be made moving forward, because this is just the beginning. It's not going to stop. And maybe even in the Euros, it's not going to stop. You're going to see a lot. You saw Locatelli, what he did. You see Paul Pogba following up through on Cristiano Ronaldo. You never know how many others have their own problem with some of the advertisers. Maybe you don't like Hisense, for instance, and you're going to do something at a press conference. So these brands need to now start thinking beyond, because this is just a starter for them.
Okay. Dexter wanted us to give our reflections on the games that were played this week. This week we had Finland versus Russia, Turkey versus Wales, and Italy versus Switzerland. I wanted us to start from Finland versus Russia. What were your reflections on that game, and do you think Finland could have done much more to salvage a point or two from this particular game?
Equal balanced match for me, and you see the scoreline. It's 1-0 and a disallowed goal, if I'm not wrong. You see, it was equally balanced, and maybe it would have gone 1-1, which would have been the best result on the day. But then again, Russia are there, and the tide went with them, and yeah, they got whatever it is that they got out of the match, 3 points. Fantastic.
Okay. When you're still on the topic of Finland versus Russia, interesting that you mentioned the VAR. What will be your assessment of the use of the VAR in the tournament? Because personally, I thought that was supposed to be a goal that was to be awarded. I know people will think otherwise, but the Finland versus Russia is just one of the many situations as such. How would you rate the use of the VAR in the Euro 2020 competition thus far?
If I have to go to the Euros specifically, I would say that it started from a bad angle both for the referee and for the VAR as well. And let us even not only look at whatever is happening at the Euros right now. For personally, I've always been against the use of VAR since its inception. I do always say it over and over again that football is being infiltrated by technology, and this is not going to happen. This is not going to work. At the end of the day, we are going to revert back to where we've lost our beloved sport. Our beloved sport was the sport that was marred by errors, and these errors are what a lot of us love about football. When maybe you remember way back England not proceeding from World Cup, I don't know if it was 2010 or what World Cup, Lampard having thought that he scored, and those emotions and everything. Now we are bringing in the technology, and technology now is what we are depending on. We're not depending on our own judgments. We're not depending on our own humanity and errors. And now we want to take it up on technology to drive a human sport. It's not really what it is needed. There's so much improvement that needs to be made in football, like maybe on racism and everything. But we are so centered on technology. Okay. It's not going to work. It's not working in Euro, as you can see. And there's going to be a lot of that moving forward as well.
Okay. Let's quickly move to the game that was pitting Turkey versus Wales. Wales ended up winning that particular game. I wanted us to look at the Bale effect on that particular match. Interesting to mention that Gareth Bale has had a fair of challenges in his career. You remember he was playing at Real Madrid. Faced a couple of challenges, had to be loaned to Tottenham Hotspurs, but here he is on the Welsh national team, and he really came through for them on this particular game. What would be your assessment of Gareth Bale?
After a torrid time at Real Madrid, Gareth Bale is just rediscovering himself, and it was so needed that he had to go somewhere where he could just become Gareth Bale, the Gareth Bale that was introduced to us by Tottenham Hotspurs and went to Real Madrid. And it is so important that he went back to where it all started. And right now he's beginning to show who he is. Top world-class player. Not really, maybe after Cristiano Ronaldo, the Lionel Messi, now the next floor of very good players, and you can see his quality in the Welsh team right now, and you can see what he is able to contribute when he is in an environment that really enables him to thrive as a footballer. And this is another thing, that players need environments where they can be able to thrive, and most of them have found the national team as pretty good environments as well, and that is the case of Gareth Bale. He is continuing or whatever he has always done for the Welsh team, and he is the center as the captain, and he's going to be very important for the national team moving forward, even in the Euros.
Okay, that was an impeccable performance from him in the Welsh national team, being critical in some of the assists in the game, and also chance creation for the national team. Without delving too much into Gareth Bale, I just wanted to get your 2 cents on what do you think was not working for Gareth Bale at Real Madrid?
First things first, the environment is very important, and when you and the coach are not really seeing eye to eye, then that conflict already puts you off, and he was off balance, and being the player that he is, because these world-class players, more times than not, they feel as big as they are, and when maybe some calls by the coach are not befitting of what they think they are as their status as world-class players, and they begin to feel threatened. And when he felt threatened, he started acting out, and he wasn't really playing football, and the coach was adamant that he wasn't going to include him in his team. And somebody needed to get out, and he got out, and it was good for him to get out and go to Spurs, go back to Spurs. And you can see that the new coach at Real Madrid currently, Ancelotti, wants him back. And yeah, it just underlines who he is. He's a top player. Who just needed some sort of management. Yes.
Okay. Looking at the game that is Italy versus Switzerland, Italy won that game 3-0. I just want quickly to get your reflections on that particular game. What did you make? Do you think it could have been any better, or it could have gone either way in that particular match?
Rampant Italy. Just like I said when I began, they are back to this stage and they are back to conquer. And you can see from the first match with Turkey, you could see that they're really stamping authority. They're really telling the world that we are back here where we belong. And you can see by their performances, one of the teams that is really playing wholeheartedly, like the Italy that we've always known.
Yeah.
And yeah, those performances have been merited. You've seen that in every single match, they've really pushed their opponents to the wall and really gotten the result that they've gotten. And this is going to continue because this is the only way that Italy knows how to play, and this is the only way that they know how to win. They know how to win, and that is what is important in this tournament. And this is going to continue in all other matches as well.
Okay. Do you think they are title contenders this time round?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Away from the Italy game, I wanted us to talk a bit about the France versus Germany game. Those are top-notch. France are currently the World Cup champions, and Germany have had a streak of good performances of international football. Looking at that particular match, I just wanted to get from you, were you impressed by the performance of the players in that particular team? And which team in that particular group, because apparently it has been termed as the group of death, so which team do you think is going to proceed to the next round of the competition?
So first and foremost, that was the best match of the Euro so far. You could barely breathe from the first minute, especially the first 10 minutes. It was crazy. And one thing is that we need more and more of such matches, and that group is going to be hotly contested. You saw what Portugal did as well. Of course, it is sort of unfair for Hungary to be there.
Yeah.
So one thing that I take out from that match is that there are two teams that came with two different styles. I think Germany were really dominant on the ball. They really wanted to play the ball, and France were very tactical, because at some point they agreed that Germany would play, and they knew that the likes of Kylian Mbappe were there, and they just sat back, defended as a team, denied Germany those critical spaces to pass through, especially in the final third, and they burst out on pace, and that really scared Germany for the entirety of that particular match. What I think is that it's a letdown from Germany, really, because I feel like they should have gotten something out of that match. Tactically, I don't really understand why some of those players are not shooting from distance, because I would presume that especially when you're nearly losing a match, you would change your tactics, because it wasn't really working. Those strings of passes were really working for them, especially in the final third. I thought that they let themselves down, and it's really going to be a tall order moving forward, especially with Portugal lying in wait.
Okay. Still sticking on that France versus Germany game, I want you to talk as a coach and a sports administrator. Looking at that particular game, tactically, what are some of the things that you could have changed for the game to go in Germany's favor or to go in France's favor more?
Personally, I think Deschamps got it right. They did their homework. They weren't going there to contest in terms of ball possession, and that is right. Sometimes as a coach, you just sit back and say, okay, fine, what I need are 3 points. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to show the display, I'm going to win the match. And that is what they did through an own goal, to say. What personally I think that was a letdown from Lowe's end as a coach, he just needed to change tact a little bit.
Yeah.
He possessed the ball, he was denied spaces, he just wanted to cross the ball, it wasn't working. He wanted to pin it at the middle, it wasn't working. What you do at that particular moment, maybe you talk to your midfielders, you talk to a couple of your players, call them on the side and tell them, you know what, we need to start shooting from distance. Maybe you can shoot and there could happen a penalty or something.
Yeah.
That is what I was disappointed with. And okay, however much we always say as coaches that you don't call players to tell them to do things that they were not doing in training, but sometimes those are knee-jerk reactions. You just call a player and they say, start shooting, like Tony Cruz.
Yeah.
Start shooting from distance. We need to get something, for instance. And that was my disappointment. I feel like Germany was let down, and especially by the coach. And they should really have done something.
Okay. As we wrap up the conversation with relation to the Euro competitions, just wanted to get, because I've had this conversation, I was having this conversation last week just before the tournament started. I just wanted to get your take on some of the teams that you probably think are going to proceed to the last part of this competition.
I think I'm going to root for Portugal. Portugal is my team.
Yeah.
Portugal are going to go through. I think Germany are going home. With the likes of France will go as well. Italy are going to be in the next phase. I'd really like to see the big boys, Belgium, being there as well. I'd like to see Croatia maybe, England maybe. It's not guaranteed the way Croatia is playing, but I would really like to see the big boys move forward so that we really have the last set of the competition being a competition based on the big boys and we want to see good competition and quality competition. Quality competition comes from quality players. You want to see more of Paul Pogba's and the likes of Mbappe and the rest, the Cristiano Ronaldos, being at the tail end of the competition. That would be good for football.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dexter, for finding time. Looking forward to having you on the show again to talk about matters Euro and to talk about whether Portugal is going to proceed to the final of the competition. Well, time for us to switch gears into the Events Watch segment of the show, where we are going to be talking about some of the events and activities that are going to be taking place this coming weekend. We start with the Euros competition, and the following games are going to be played this weekend. That is England versus Scotland, Hungary versus France, Portugal versus Germany. Portugal, Dexter is a big fan of Portugal. Spain versus Poland, Italy versus Wales, Switzerland versus Turkey, and Ukraine versus Austria. Switching gears into the Kenya Premier League, the following games are going to be played. That is Nairobi City Stars is going to be playing against Kakamega Homeboys, KCB versus Mathare United, Gor Mahia versus Sofapaka, Western Stima versus Nzoia Sugar, Kariobangi Sharks versus Tusker FC, and Posta Rangers versus Bidco United. Well, that's all the time that we had on Metropol Sports Center. Do wish you a fantastic weekend. See you next week, same place, same time.